Hi there. In this lesson, we are going to be extending the Library Manager app, and we're going to be bringing in forms and screens. We're going to create a new screen. We're going to create a form within that screen, and that form will allow us to take out a loan. We're going to add a submit button to the form, and we're also going to add a navigation experience. Finally, we're going to update the loans gallery so that we only get to see the current loans. So let's head over to our app and start building. I'm in the Home tab of make.powerapps.com. I'm going to head to Solutions. I'm going to select on the My School Library solution that we've been working in. Hit the three dots next to the My Library Manager and then Edit. I'm going to expand the view so that I can see it fit more nicely. I can see that we need a little bit more space in our book copy text, so I'm going to expand that. I'm going to add a new screen. I'm going to select the drop down and it's going to be a blank screen. I'm going to rename the screen to checkout screen. And I'm going to resize the screen. I'm going to collapse Gal Loans so I can see things more easily, and I'm also going to collapse the home screen as well. I'd like to take a similar approach to the header as last time. So I'm going to select on the home screen. Now our header bar consists of two parts, so I'm going to expand the home screen. I'm going to select header 1. I'm also going to select txt header loan. I'm going to right click on this and then copy. Then I'm going to move to the checkout screen, select on the screen, right click it and then paste. I need to rename these one at a time. So I'm going to select on header 1 and then I'm going to select on the pen icon and then I'm going to call it header 1 underscore checkout. Then I'm going to select on txt header loan, select on the pencil, and then call it checkout again. I'm going to change the text for the header to book loan checkout. I can change it at the top or on the right hand side here, book loan checkout. Once I'm happy, I can select enter. I'm now going to select on header 1. And then I'm going to make sure the profile picture doesn't show. I'm going to untick this. I'm now going to add an icon that allows me to navigate back to my home screen. Select Insert, search for icon. There are classic icons, those are the ones I require. I'm going to drag the back arrow onto the screen. I'm going to reposition this into the top right hand side. I'm going to add some padding in so that it sits in the area more nicely. That's going to be 10 on the top, right, bottom and left. Now I'm going to select on the color property and I'm going to leverage the theme in our app. So I'm going to select app.theme.colors. And it's going to be lighter 70. I'm going to rename this icon to ICN back. Let's now create a navigation experience between the two screens. I'm going to select the drop down for this. I'm going to move to the on select property, the thing that happens when we select it. And I'm going to use the navigate function, navigate. And where are we going to navigate to? We'll navigate to the home screen. How are we going to navigate there? And we'll fade. Then close the brackets. Remember, you may need to change the comma for a semicolon. In order for us to see if this works, we need to go back to the home screen. I'm going to select on the checkout book button that we've created. Go to the on select property. And then a similar function needs to be added here. Navigate, open parentheses, Where are we going to navigate to? We're going to navigate to the checkout screen. And we can actually close the parentheses here. We can now preview this to see if it works as expected. Preview. I'm going to select on the checkout book. Takes us to the book loan checkout screen. And then select the back option as well. And it takes us back as expected. I can close out of this. I'm going to move to the checkout screen. Now going to insert. We're going to look for a form. We can select it here. And I can drag it onto the screen. We're being asked to select a data source, and I'm going to choose the loans data source. And the data source has updated in the field on the right hand side. And Dataverse has taken a guess as to which fields we require. The easiest way to update the fields or columns is to select next to fields. And I'm going to remove import sequence number. Remove record created on. And as this is intended to check the books out, I'm going to remove the date returned, as well as is set up, loans name and status. But I am going to add some fields or columns in. Add field. I'm going to add in the student. So I'm going to scroll down to that and select this, then add. And I'm also going to add in the book copy. I can see that here. Add. I can close out of this. I'm going to reposition the form. I'm going to resize the form. And I'm also going to change the number of columns and make it just one column. I'd like the order of the columns to be student, book copy, date loan start, and then date due. Let's change that. Select the fields. I'm going to collapse these. I'm going to select next to date loan start, move down, and move down. And then going to select next to date due and do the same operation so that it appears at the bottom. I can now close out this menu. I'd like to remove the hours and minutes selectors. Watch what happens when we select and try to delete one. I'm going to delete this. The first issue is that this card is locked. I'm going to select on the card, go to Advanced, Unlock to change properties. I can now work with the objects inside the card. I'm now going to select on the hours, and to remove it I can either right click and cut, or I can move on to the tree view and right click and delete. We can see that the app isn't happy. We can go to the errors, go to the formulas. If I actually select on this issue, it actually takes me to the update property of this card. Now if I expand the formula, it can no longer see the value for our value 3 because we deleted it. Now we could take the time to change all these formulas. In this case, I'm going to undo the change that we've made by selecting undo. I'm going to collapse this. I'm simply going to select on the objects and then right click on it, and I'm just going to change the visibility. I'm going to move on to the display property and make it so that it's not visible. Do the same thing for the minutes. Make it so it's not visible. And I'll also do the same for the separator. I'm going to do the same thing for the date due. Select the card first, go to Advanced, Unlock to change properties. Then I'm going to remove these items. I'd now like to simplify the book checkout process. I'm going to do that by making the date loan start today. The date due is going to be 7 days from today. To do that, I need to select on the card, and then I will select on the date picker. And I then need to navigate to the property selected date. select the drop down, navigate down to selected date, and it currently says parent default. Now for the date loan start column, it doesn't have a default for when the record is newly created. So I'm going to add a formula here. The formula is going to be if form mode dot new, the form is in a new state, then we need to make it today. Otherwise, we can go with parent dot default. Then close the parentheses. Now we want to create a relationship between this date picker and the date due picker. To simplify the PowerFX syntax that we'll need to write, I'm going to change the name of this picker. I'm going to change it to DTP date start loan. I'm going to go onto the date due data card, then select the date picker and do the same exercise. Change the name to DTP date due. If I now select the drop down for the selected date, go onto the property there, and I'm going to add a similar formula. If form mode dot new, then it's going to be DTP date loan start dot selected date. Otherwise, parent dot default. And then close the parentheses. Now it's not quite perfect yet because we need to add some days to this. So I'm going to expand my formula bar. I'm going to format the text, and I'm going to add in the date add function. Shift enter, date add. So we're going to add it to the days that's been selected. We're going to add 7 days, add another comma or semicolon, and we need to indicate that it's 7 days. So it's going to be time unit dot days. Close the parentheses, add another comma or semicolon, and then the formula is now correct. I've added in a commentary. Anything after / / is just a comment, and you can see that it's green. So the formula reads as if form mode new. If the form is in a new state, we need to add some days, that's date add. What are we going to add it to? Well, we're going to add it to the DTP date start loan, and we're going to add 7 days. Otherwise, just use the default for that column. I'm happy with this, so I'm going to collapse this. It feels like we've done the right thing here, but if we go to preview this, nothing happens. Let's come out of preview. The reason why this is an issue is the form is not in a new state. We can change that. Before I do it, I'm actually going to change the name of this form. It's currently called Form 1, and I want to change it to FRM Loan. I'm now going to navigate to the home screen, and I'm now going to select on my Checkout Book button. The On Select property says that it just needs to navigate to the checkout screen. We need to add something to this. I'm going to select on the formula, expand this, Shift Enter to add a new line, add a semicolon or a double semicolon if you use the alternate syntax, and then new form, which is a PowerFX command. New form, select on new form. Which form do we require? It's FRM, and it's FRM loan, and then I can close the parentheses. I can now select on preview, and then checkout book. And I can interact with the drop downs. Select David Cohen, and the drop down, and I can have Winnie the Pooh, copy 1. We don't yet have a button that allows us to submit this loan checkout. Let's change that. Come out of preview. I'm going to collapse the formula bar. I'm going to make the screen easier to read. I'm going to select Insert, then Button. I'm going to drag it onto the screen. I can make the button much larger, change the text for the button, check out book. I'm going to change the font size to 20. In the On Select property, I'm going to change this, and it's going to be Submit Form. Which form we're going to submit? It's FRM Loan. Then close the parentheses. We're also going to add a semicolon and then use the back navigation. And I can now go into preview mode to confirm that this works as expected. Select Preview and then Check Out Book. Let's see if we can find the loan that we've taken out. I'm going to find the student. It's going to be David. And select off here. And I can see that we have a record for David Cohen having taken out Winnie the Pooh Copy 1 on the 30th of January 2025. This form isn't perfect at this stage. At this time, if we go to Check Out Book, select a student, Sophia Rossi, and select the books, we can still see Winnie the Pooh Copy 1. And at this stage, the app doesn't understand that this book has been taken out, and we'll correct this in a future video. I'm going to come out of preview, go to the home screen. I'm going to change the filters so that we only see books that are currently out on loan. I need to select the gallery. I'm going to expand the formula. I'm going to drag this down. I've added in some commentary on what the formulas are doing, and I'm going to make a change so that we only see loans that have been taken out. I'm going to go on to search, add a space here, add a space afterwards, and then I'm going to type in filter. What are we going to filter? I'm going to open the parentheses. We're filtering loans. How are we going to filter loans? And it's going to be where the date returned hasn't been filled in. So I'm going to type in is blank, and then the field date returned. Close the parentheses. And this closes it for the is blank function. And we close the parentheses for the filter function. I'm now going to format the text. I'm going to remove the comments. I'm going to collapse the formula bar. And I can preview the app. If I remove David and select outside, we'll be able to see all of the loans that are currently outstanding. Before we conclude this exercise, I'd like to add in some headers in relation to the items in our gallery. I'm going to close out the preview, select Insert, and then Text. Bring it onto the screen, and then move it across just above Macbeth Copy 3. I'm going to change the text to Book, and I'm going to make the font weight bold. Change the name to TXT Book Copy. I'm going to perform the same exercise for the columns in our gallery. And these column headers have now been introduced. And it brings us to the end of this exercise. This was a really important video. We created a new screen, we created and configured a form, we added a submit button for the form so that we could get it to submit our loans, and we added a navigation experience. We also updated the loans gallery. In the future, we will enhance the library manager experience so that books cannot be checked out twice and that books can be checked back in easily. Thank you for watching.